Can Kansas Speedway deliver another classic to improve NASCAR's plummeting viewer rates? Is David Gravel in danger of not defending his championship in the World of Outlaws? Can Tony Stewart win the NHRA championship? All of that on this week's episode. Back everybody to ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB Zach Brown. Dad's not with me this week. This will be a shorter episode. We're going to go get into Kansas. We a little bit past Bristol. Bristol was an okay race. Bristol was all right. The higher horsepower did help. It brought more grooves. It brought the high line, and people were able to arc it off the corner. But the one thing that stayed the same is that Toyota once again is dominating. Ty Gibbs getting his first ever career NASCAR Cup Series victory, and it comes at Bristol Motor Speedway. So that was not an easy task for him. He got it done. Arguably, Ryan Blaney was the fastest car, but Ty Gibbs was able to hold him off, get through lap traffic when he needed to, hold him off on the final restart. Kyle Larson was the fastest early on, fell off some in the race. It seemed like they had some adjusting issues. They went too far from when it was loose, then it got too tight. And Larson just does not drive a tight race car very well. He'd rather have a looser race car than tight. It's an interesting year. It is a weird year, and I think people are showing that. Whether it's in the viewer rates now, it's just in everything. The Chevys are struggling some in the higher speed tracks, and this is a good opportunity to see if Chevy and Ford can equalize with the competition. I know Ryan Blaney has a win this year already at Phoenix, but to equalize it with the Toyotas. But Kansas is a great track for Toyota, and that will reflect on a lot of NASCAR fantasy this week when we get into that. What I want to start off with are my hot laps, the hottest takes in motorsports from across the board. Here are some storylines to get into it for this week. So some of my hot laps, my hot takes this week. It starts off with NASCAR. NASCAR's TV rates are plummeting at a staggering rate. The viewership has finally come out for NASCAR spring race at Bristol. So this is from the past over about a decade and a half since 2013. 2013, the numbers were 7.51 million viewers. That went down in 2014 a little bit more, then plummeted even more by 2 more million viewership in 2015. And then today, this past week, was the lowest viewership in well over a decade and a half. And it's by far the 2026 Spring Bristol race, 1.9 million viewers. The O'Reilly Series had nearly as much viewership as the Cup Series. That's a problem. O'Reilly's generally gets around the 1.5 to 2 million viewers per race, and then Truck Series will get close to a million-ish on their viewership. This is a problem that the Cup Series can't get. That I know it was the Masters. I know it was the Masters, but you're losing lifelong fans, and you're making it really difficult for them to be able to find it. FS1, people don't have the Fox Sports app. They don't have the streaming service for FS1. FS1 isn't on basic cable, so you're losing the basic cable people that have that for that when they tune into Fox, and you're not making up for it by going to a streaming service that literally everybody in the newest generation have. Say Prime. I mean, Netflix is on there too. They don't have NASCAR at this moment. And Hulu, Disney, ESPN, all of that. Everybody has those streaming things. There are not a lot of streamers in FS1. However, the numbers in high limit were pretty impressive in FS1 on FS1 compared to everything else. But when you have the master, you're competing against the masters, and that's on a basic cable channel. You're going to lose viewership right there unless you have a streaming platform. And I am all for NASCAR going to a streaming platform moving forward. I do like it traditionally on Fox, but instead of going FS1, I think there needs to be. I think NASCAR needs to go back to ESPN. I think ESPN would be a huge, huge signing and improvement for NASCAR to go to, and they could also stream practices and qualifying ESPN Plus, because right now you have practice and qualifying on Prime, and that's great. I mean, that's really, really good. And I don't know if Fox made a deal with Prime. I don't know how all that works. There's still the Fox crew on it. There needs to be something done to help improve the rates, and they also need to improve the in-person experience for fans, because Bristol maybe 70% full, and it's not even close to what it could be because they took away the entire first 10 rows, just putting banners up for sponsorship. It is alarming. It is concerning, and this could be NASCAR's downfall if they don't get ahead of the times and continue adjusting. They are all. This has got to be a big reality check for those in NASCAR and the I don't know, the marketing department or whoever it might be. That's a lot of money lost from not having a lot of viewership. Again, they make up for it with O'Reilly having really decent numbers. And O'Reilly series has been fantastic. It's been a great race, great racing this year. Truck series arguably been pretty good racing too. But there's got to be something done. They've got to improve the marketing. I don't really know how you can get it out there. Everybody's watching all these streaming platforms. You're going to have to advertise more there. Spend more to make more is really how you're going to have to do it. And the viewership that's an alarming viewership. All right, another hot take on my hot lap segment, flowing right into NASCAR. Toyota continues their dominant 2026 season, and it shows that they are leaps and bounds above everybody, especially when there's a kid. He's gradually gotten better. He's consistently getting better, Ty Gibbs, and it shows that Toyota is so much better than the competition right now, and the teams are working well together. So there's conspiracies, and we're not going to get back into the conspiracy stuff. You can let me know in the comments all of your thoughts and everything. Keep it clean of everything going on with Toyota. But the fact of the matter is that they have something going. They've been dominant in the Cup Series, and if you want to talk about dominant, and that's how. If you want to spark conspiracy, then you might as well throw Junior Motorsports, JRM, in the mix for the O'Reilly series, because they've been dominant as well. I still think the competition is going to catch up to them. Usually, when you see a dominant manufacturer like this early on in the season, there comes a turning point in the summertime when it gets hot and slick on all the tracks, no matter where you are, and that will bode well for other ones. I think you'll see Chevy contend for a lot more wins, and they're getting close. They're getting real close, and Ford will start improving. Brian Blaney's really holding Ford, carrying him by himself. But Ford will improve. Joey Logano will get a win this year at least, and I expect somebody in the RFK camp to get a win. I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan Preece gets a win this year for his first Cup Series win. Hocevar likely will get a win this year. I think he's just knocking on the door too often to not get a win. He had an impressive run at Bristol. I was really impressed at seeing how he was doing in the top 10, top 5 all day long. It is kind of concerning that Trackhouse can't figure it out. Even Chastain, they are struggling. They are definitely struggling in that fact. But Toyota, they continue to dominate 2026 season. This weekend, I don't think will be any different. I don't think this is the turning point quite yet. I think the turning point will be around the All-Star race weekend going into the Coke 600. I think the Coke 600 will very likely be someone we haven't really discussed too often, and they've just kind of flown under the radar and could potentially get a win at the Coke 600. Excited to get into that as well. Before I get into more hot laps and the hot takes, let's get into NASCAR fantasy, and then we'll get the rest of the hot takes for this episode. So, NASCAR fantasy, Mom and Dad tied last week. They had the exact same lineups and everything, and I lost. We all had really good weeks. The thing that kind of screwed me over was Chase Elliott got into trouble later in the race. That definitely pushed it back some. That was unfortunate. But done a rebound, and I'm throwing it all at it. It's Kansas, and it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be another good race. Kansas delivered the last 3 or 4 years in a row. The mile-and-a-half tracks just suit this car really well. So, getting the NASCAR fantasy lineup here are my starters and garage and the matchups. Get rid of this little graphic. So for my starting lineup, I have Chase Briscoe, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, and in my garage, Ty Gibbs. The matchups. Now, you can also throw Bubba in there, too. I think he would be a solid pick to put in there. But just the way he's been inconsistent lately, I'm going to kind of keep him out. And that's why I got Ty Gibbs over Bubba Wallace in the matchup. Chase Elliott over Ross Chastain. Chastain just hasn't, like I said, he hasn't shown the speed right now. And Chase Elliott's been really good this year. Tyler Reddick versus Kyle Larson. I like the Toyotas in this race. I do. I got Tyler Reddick over that one. And William Byron versus Ryan Blaney. I'm doing strictly for the fact that Ryan Blaney's pit crew has shown up time and time again to prove that they are not very good, and they cost him a lot of very good finishes. And William Byron's crew is one of the best in the entire garage. So I'm going with William Byron in that one. Now, Dad's lineup. He has Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Chase Briscoe. He has Bubba Wallace in this. And in his garage, he has Tyler Reddick. In the matchups, he has Bubba Wallace over Ty Gibbs, Chase Elliott over Chastain, Larson over Reddick, and Byron over Blaney. Now, Dad's pick this week is Christopher Bell to win the race. And my mom's pick is Kyle Larson. She picked him last week. She's picking him this week. I am not doubling up on Larson. Nobody's doubling up on Larson this week, so maybe that'll bring luck to him. I am going with a first-time winner this year, but I still think it's a Toyota dominant 2026 season. I am going with Chase Briscoe to win at Kansas to get his first win of 2026, get it early on, get some momentum going into the hotter summer months. Now, some more hot takes, hot laps, my hottest takes in motorsports right now. I got 2 of them left. Show that graphic. You know, it's too cool to just not show. So, and make sure you guys follow on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, and there's new episodes every Friday, daily content on TikTok as well. So make sure you follow the TikTok. So make sure you check all of that out. But getting into NHRA, where Tony Stewart comes off of a Wally to get his first Top Fuel win of 2026. That raises the question, will Tony Stewart win his first NHRA championship this year? I think it's very likely. I think they have something going right now. It's going to be tough. The competition's really good. Doug Coletta is as consistent as anybody can get, and Top Fuel there is a very small margin of error right now, and even in Funny Car, there is. It's been a really good first 3 races of the year. They're going into Charlotte here. I believe it's next week. Yes, because I work next weekend, and I will be at around the NHRA area. I think it's very likely Tony Stewart can get a win. This is a hot take right now. I think he has a very good opportunity. He's got a very good crew, very great equipment. I expect him to be, at the very least, be in high contention for the championship this year, Would love to see Smoke get his first NHRA championship. Now, moving into dirt racing, if you saw some of the I-55 racing, it's been fantastic. If World of Outlaws has continued to deliver, and High Limit comes out later today as I'm recording it. They race again tonight. World of Outlaws again as well. But the hot take right now is David Gravel in danger of losing his World of Outlaws title defense. He's won back-to-back championships, looking for I believe it's three in a row. Can anybody dethrone him? And he's still the points leader. But this time last year, he was already over 100 points ahead. He's had some issues, and you don't see that out of David Gravel often. They've had DNFs, they've crashed. This week in the racing at Jacksonville and Tri-State, and then they get a good practice run at Knoxville next week. So that'll be interesting to kind of preview the Knoxville Nationals. Again, racing at Knoxville doesn't really, if you race well in the spring, doesn't correlate with the late summer, but it gives you kind of an idea of who's at least going to try to race in the Knoxville Nationals. But I'm going to bring up the point standings right now, and it's close. Like David Gravel's 42 points ahead of Carson Macedo and 60 points ahead of Buddy Kofoid. So those three right now are the cream of the crop. Donnie Schatz has been solid. He's fourth in the standings. He's got to get more consistent. He still the qualifying has not been there. If he can time trial, he will have a lot better finishes. He starts 20th and will end up 8th, 7th, all up in there, and it's just too little, too late. He's got a really great racing car. It's just when it gets to time, comes to time trials, I don't know what's going on. But David Gravel only 42 points ahead, and that's not a lot in the World of Outlaws. And it's actually, I was surprised to see Carson Macedo in second. From perspective, seeing that Buddy Kofoid looked like he's been having the better year over Macedo, but Macedo does have more top tens, so he has been more consistent, less bad finishes. So that's where the points come in, and then you have better time trials and the heats and all the points, how you add up on that. It'll be interesting for sure. I don't think David Gravel's in danger of losing his World of Outlaws title defense, but it will be a storyline to continue to monitor throughout the summer. That's when we always talk about it. Those are the money months for World of Outlaws. That's when you've got to stay consistent. You've got to do well. Go into Knoxville with a lot of momentum. We will see how that all shakes up. Well, that's all my hot laps, my hot takes for this week. IndyCar at Long Beach, so make sure you watch Alex Palou likely win that one. I think that does it, though. Like I said, make sure you follow Spotify, YouTube, and TikTok, wherever you watch this from on all those three platforms. TikTok does not release the full episodes, but we do have content daily on there between memes, good, just simple conversations. So make sure you get in there, get in the conversations. We love to hear everybody, so give us a follow. We'll see you guys next Friday. Enjoy some racing this weekend.